Tecovas is the go-to for premium, handcrafted Western boots. Stop by any store location for a warm welcome, a cold drink in hand, and a truly one-of-a-kind shopping experience. Let our friendly staff help you find your new go-to boots, whether your first pair or your 50th. Finish things off with a complimentary boot brand to make them extra special. Come for the boots, stay for the good times. Tecovas, forever West.
He's Derek. She's Romaine.
My ass exploded. That's the only way to explain it. My ass just was like an explosion.
This is Derek and Romaine.
2.0, bitches!
We are really exploding with flavor around here, aren't we?
When is my ass not exploding?
Was 2025 the year of oops, I crap my pants or what?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. At least it feels like it.
Look, it's been a real roller coaster of a journey here, with DNR 2.0. We're 10 years strong in this thing. Can't believe it. And so glad to still have you with us, subscribing, listening to the show, enjoying us every day. We are pre-recording another episode of the show, looking back at this time of year on the year that was.
Oh boy!
And some of the stories that we did not get to, that we did want to talk about. But Romaine, I would actually like to drop a dime on one of our listeners to start with.
Oh, that is an unexpected start to the show.
I know.
I'm here for it. Let's hear it.
Because I don't think I mentioned this on the air, and I don't think I told you off air either.
Okay.
So, you know how we have our fabulous DNR Cast app?
Yes.
Which is really terrific. It's more than just a podcast player. There's lots of great stuff in there. You can access our upcoming cruises in the shop, and you can get daily headlines in the buzz, and our upcoming events are all listed in there. And we also have recipes, which you can check out. There's a lot of more than Derek and Romaine yammering on stuff that's in there. But one of the most recent additions to the app that has been a big hit that people really like is the DNR 5x5 word game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, but it has a leaderboard with it where it's basically you guess a word. You have 5 chances to guess a word. And you're given a clue if there's a D, an N, or an R in the word. So you get a little bit of a running start there at the beginning. And then, but it is a timed challenge. And we have a leaderboard at the end that you can see how you stack up to other Derek and Romaine listeners. And pretty quickly after the game launched in the app, we had a lot of people who were playing and everything. But almost immediately, we had people accusing other people, j'accuse, of cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes people are in, there's 2 subscribers. They're both in a relationship with each other. And then one of them does exceedingly well at the game, and everyone's like, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Skeptical.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyway, I don't understand the value or benefit of cheating here because who cares? Oh, hooray. You fake guessed the word in 10 seconds. Who cares?
Right.
Anyway, so one day, here I am early in the morning, minding my own business, and I get an email. And the thing is that I get emails all the time. I get emails from Romaine. I get emails from publicists pitching crappy guests. And I get, sort of businessy emails about things.
Right.
Anyway, but I get an email from a listener because sometimes, I'll get listener feedback.
Yeah.
I prefer people calling the hooker hotline to emailing me. But, I understand sometimes people want to email. And sometimes it's just like a helpful suggestion with the DNR Cast app or whatever it is. Anyway,
Sure.
I get an email from a listener. And in the email, it is just a screenshot of the day's word, like a completed puzzle from the DNR 5x5 game.
Okay.
And no explanation or anything. And I'm trying to figure out, like, oh, are they trying to tell me that there's like a problem? Like the word is not a real word, because we did have that happen. Like I had a typo in there, and then people are like, you ruined my winning streak because this is a fake word, not a real. So we've had, sometimes there are technical glitches and whatever that people try to tell me about. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And then while I'm staring at this email trying to figure out why I got it, then I get a follow-up email from the listener. Oh, sorry, I sent this to the wrong person.
As in, they knew what the word is, they were sending it to somebody else so they could cheat?
Yes, girl.
No.
An active cheater.
Oh, no.
I agree. Oh, no is right.
Oh, no. That is bad.
Yeah.
So they are cheating.
Well, I mean, I am sure some of them are. I don't know that they're cheating every day, because I think sometimes people just want to be on the leaderboard one time so they can screenshot that they were one time the leader on the leaderboard. And then, they don't care. But
is this a listener we like?
It is. Well, I mean,
I know it has to be. It has to be.
No. This is not a regular caller. This is not a regular poster. Like if I said their name to you right now, I don't know that you would know who they were.
Okay.
So no, right. It's not like, a regular caller or something.
Right.
But it is somebody like I recognize their username from the game, because you don't play the 5x5 game, but I do. I play every day.
Right.
Ivan, who is our little genius, who has really moved the app to the next level, he plays a 5x5 game every day. So I see him. I see Adam from Scruffy Town. I see all sorts of people who are playing the game every day, and I recognize their usernames. Kathy in Ohio. I see them in there.
Right.
And in this case, it was somebody whose username I had seen in the leaderboard, but was not necessarily like a regular caller or anything else. But just so that people don't think that, I'm not going to gaslight people of like, no one's cheating. I just think, you know what? There's no value here in cheating. There really isn't. Who are you cheating for?
Yeah, that would be the question. Why? Why cheat? These games are meant to have fun. They're not meant to be cheated upon.
Yeah. Also, I don't remember 5 seconds later who was on the leaderboard of the game every day. I don't even remember what the word yesterday was on the game. And I don't think anybody else does either. Sometimes I think people hold things too closely.
Well, some people are very competitive, Derek.
No, I understand being competitive, but if you're cheating, you're not competing.
Right.
Like, that's not how competition works. And you know me, I don't like playing games I can't win. And in some ways, I think that it's comforting when people see, because I play the DNR 5x5 game as DNR Studios.
Right.
So I think it's actually comforting for people when they see me ranked, 40th or 80th. Like, okay, well, Derek is not.
Sometimes you do that bad?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
By the way, sometimes I will get the word in 3 guesses in under a minute, and I come in 40th.
Wow.
There are some people who are really good and fast.
I guess so.
But some mornings, I haven't had my coffee, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done this so quickly.
I get that.
My brain is not quite revved up yet.
Well, mine is never revved up for this kind of stuff, so more power to everyone who plays the game. I'm no good at this kind of shit, so I would never even be... I'd be so bad I wouldn't even be on the leaderboard. Ever.
I think you sell yourself a little short here. I think actually if you played, you'd be fine.
I don't know.
Look, all sorts of people play, and sometimes it takes them 20 minutes to figure out what the word is.
I don't know that I could even ever figure it out.
You would be able to figure it out. It's a 5-letter word, Romaine.
That doesn't mean anything, Derek.
Oh, girl.
I am...
How small is your vocabulary?
This is not where I am strong. Word games.
What are your strong suits then?
I can sing.
Okay. I love to sing about the Moona and the Juna and the
I'm an amazing public speaker.
I love to sing
I have other skill sets. Word games are not them.
But that's good for your brain,
Well, evidently I'm very good at trivia. I've learned that. Who would have thought that?
As good for your brain as these like word puzzles are.
Well, I don't know that it is or isn't, but evidently I'm pretty good at it. I've actually, when I have played trivia games, I've actually done better than I expected to.
Did Adam from Scruffy Town, when you both lived in New Jersey, did he drag you off to some of his bar trivia nights?
No, I'm not that good. Come on, I'm not bar trivia good.
You mean like he wouldn't let you play on his team?
Oh,
like you
no
could
way.
watch?
Having me on your team would be a detriment. I would not help a team. I would hurt a team. Or at least that's how I feel about it. I don't know. Maybe I would help a team. I don't know. Maybe I'm smarter than I give myself credit for. I'm not sure. I just don't feel like I would be very good at that kind of stuff. That's all. I feel like I would bring a team down.
Try.
I mean,
you never know.
We did a Virgin cruise where we were on the cruise ship a lot of days, right? And I did try joining teams for trivia and things like that. And then we also had one day where we played Trivial Pursuit and I won.
Okay.
Me, Derek, I won. Now that's crazy because we all know, I only know so much information and it's pretty limited, but
everybody only knows so much information.
Yeah, well, mine I feel like is more limited than most, but maybe I'm selling myself short because when I do it, I actually tend to fare pretty well. I just feel like I'm not that smart, but maybe I am.
I think, once you got used to word games, I actually think you'd be pretty good. Part of it is because you are a pretty voracious reader.
I do like to read.
And so you are exposed to a lot of words. And when you're thinking about 5-letter words, the vast majority of the words, I mean, I've had a couple of words in there where the listeners got bitchy with me of like, this is not that common of a word. It's like, well, they're not supposed to be all that common. How often do you use forge in a sentence? You know what I mean?
No, but it is a great word.
But it is a good word. It's especially for a 5-letter word guessing game, forge is a good word. Anyway. But there are not a lot of deeply obscure 5-letter words where you would struggle to figure out what the word is. It's not like a 8-letter word challenge or something,
right?
Where you would really have to have quite a number of obscure words to get, up into 8 letters,
right?
Scientific terms and that kind of thing. And so I think, given how well read you are, that I think you would do fine. I mean, I think the issue you would have is the same one that most of the people have with our word game, which is the timer is clocking away and it fills people with panic. And people who don't do well under pressure, like, melt down and freak out.
See, if I played the game, I would have to completely ignore the timer.
Yeah.
Because it would freak me out and then I would not do well.
Yeah, I think you should make a faked username, a nom de plume. And then
not Romaine.
Not Romaine.
Yeah.
And then, because you can change your display name in the app. So you can make the display name be whatever you want.
Like that.
Cheryl from Illinois, whatever you want. Just make one up.
Okay.
Tanya from Arkansas.
Tanya.
Well, just kind of make something up.
Sure.
Upstate Amber.
Gross.
Anyway, I think you're a winner, sweetie.
Well, thank you, Derek. I appreciate that.
You should try getting out there and winning more.
Well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll try harder. I don't know.
All right. Speaking of encouraging people to try harder, Simon Cowell made a little news earlier this year on his succession plans.
Right.
And you, as a mother,
yeah,
I'm curious about your thoughts on this. So Simon Cowell has obviously made quite a bit of money through American Idol and America's Got Talent and whatever, because he's not just a host, he's also a producer on these shows.
Right.
So he has made millions of dollars over the last 20 years. And he got married and had a kid pretty late in life. And so he has a son who I think now is a teenager, might be like 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but he said in an interview recently that he is not planning to leave money to his son.
Oh.
he will pay for his college education. Like, he makes sure that there's money for him to go to college, but after that, he's on his own.
Okay.
And so I'm curious, and he got a certain amount of backlash from people who were like, you only got the one son. Why are you being so stingy?
Well, did he say what he is planning to do with his money?
He's going to give it to a variety of charities or something.
Okay. All right. I mean, so listen, I think, he might just be saying this so that his kid thinks that he has to actually work, because he doesn't want to have a self-entitled kid who thinks that he doesn't have to work hard in life and he'll get everything he wants.
But also, like, when he's in a formative era.
Right.
That he's not thinking, oh, I never have to work because I never have to worry about money.
Right.
Therefore, I'm not going to pay attention in school.
Right. Right. So It may be a situation where Simon is just trying to motivate his younger son to actually make something of his life on his own. Or he may feel like, you know what, he's a young man. He needs to make or break life on his own, just like I did. It's part of what builds character in a person. He may be one of these people who feels like his son has had a privileged life, and, at some point he has to stand on his own 2 feet, like all parents feel about their children. At some point, your kid has to be an adult and do things for themselves. And if you're always there for them, will they ever be self-sufficient? Ever? Really? So, maybe Simon is trying to let his son know that at some point, yes, you're going to have to be self-sufficient, because I won't always be here and I won't be able to take care of you forever. Do I think that just leaving him college money is
enough?
No. I think, listen, set up a trust fund. It doesn't have to be a large one, and it doesn't have to be one that pays out in large quantities. But I would say leave enough that it will help him. Not pay for everything, but at the very least, help him get a start into his adult life. It doesn't even have to be a long-term thing. It can be, for 5 years. After you get out of college, we're going to help you with this amount of money, and that's what you get. But I'm not this kid's parent. I don't. If I had that kind of money, would I just give it to Romy? Probably not. I probably would be like Simon. I would probably find some charitable causes I believe in, and I would spend that wealth. A while back, Billie Eilish was at an event, and she was the keynote speaker, and I want to say Mark Zuckerberg was in the audience. And basically she was like, I want to know why the billionaires aren't giving away their money. She's like, who are you saving it for? You have billions and billions of dollars. You could be making a big difference in the world, and instead you're hoarding your money because why? And so I can see how there are some celebrities who are like, I have more than enough money to live a comfortable life and to get my kids started in a fairly comfortable life. And beyond that, why not give away your money? So I like that Simon is thinking about how to do that. I think that is a generous and kind gift to humanity. And I appreciate it, frankly. So I'm not going to criticize him for this choice.
Yeah, I mean, a billionaire could give away $1 million a week, and it would take almost 20 years for them to give away $1 billion.
Right.
So, I think a lot of people think that $1 billion is $10 million or $100 million. It's $1,000 million. Like, it's a lot of, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so I think that, it's, I think it depends on how much money that you have. I think that in these cases, what I think is a good idea is not set them up so they never have to work again.
Right.
But set them up so they don't have to worry.
Yeah. I think those are two very different things.
Paying for a college education and a house and putting money into a retirement, like a trust for their retirement that they can't touch before the age of 55, right? So they know they don't have to amass wealth if that's not what their goal is, but also they don't have to have the most menial job in the world just to put a roof over their head. So if they want to do something creative or do something interesting, or if they have a job and they just want to be able to have the freedom to quit and look for something else, they don't have something hanging over them. You know, I have a friend of mine came from like not a like billionaire family, but a family where basically everybody in the family, everything they touched turned into money. And they were all sort of like hardworking, but also just a lot of luck too. They were in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And in his case, his dad was a, college professor and researcher, which was his passion. But then he ended up having a breakthrough discovery that he got a patent on, and that ended up being millions of dollars. So, the fact that, he didn't necessarily pursue a career to get rich because he didn't need to, because his family had money. So he was able to get a good college education, and his passion was being a research scientist and professor. And then it did turn out to be highly lucrative in a way that it would normally be. But his parents instead just sort of were able to set him up in a way where he could pursue his passion and not have to worry about money. And so my friend, his father's this professor and his grandfather was rich. And, but when we were in our early 20s hanging out, he had a job and he wanted a big promotion at work. And he went to the head of the company and he was like, give me this big promotion. Like there was a job opening. It's like, give me this big promotion. There was like 2 or 3 jumps up. And he was 23. He's like, give me this promotion or I quit.
Well, that's ballsy.
And he got the promotion. But the thing is that he knew he could pursue his passions because he did not have to worry about making rent.
Right.
And this was not a case where his parents were willing to necessarily like fund his life or something. But also he came from this family where it's like, you should go for what you're passionate about. And if you're, working hard and trying things and whatever else, then, we'll back you up as you pursue your dreams. And so he got a big promotion. So he's one of the most successful of my friends in our age group at the time. Mm-hmm. And then he went off and got better and better jobs and started his own company and whatever else, and has done exceedingly well in his life. But I think it was because he was able to, he came from this area of confidence because he knew he didn't have to worry about how am I going to make rent.
Right.
And I think that
Must be nice.
Yeah, but I think that's the best thing that wealthy parents can do for their kids is should give them a running start. Because I mean, in New York City, this used to happen all the time. I would talk to my former roommate about this because they would have these interns who would be there, and this is when we still had unpaid internships in New York. But you would have these interns who would come in and they would just live in New York for 3 months with their unpaid internship, and they would have some apartment in Manhattan. And it was like, how on earth is this even possible?
How indeed? And
it's because their parents were bankrolling their life to have this unpaid internship in New York City. But, because their parents had money, they were able to take this kind of internship that other people whose families didn't have money, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, talk about privilege.
Yeah. So it is a privilege, but it's a big difference between just giving them millions of dollars and then having them sit on the couch forever.
True.
Versus this is your career that you want to pursue, and we will financially make it possible for you to make the kind of moves that will set you up to succeed.
Right.
And yeah, it is privilege. So I think that Simon Cowell probably is going to offer more than just college because, look, he's a bright guy. Just like us. He understands how the world works. And a college education is nice, but it's not enough. And he sees the way the young people are struggling to, get high-paying jobs and pay their bills and get married and start a family and buy a house and whatever else. And giving them the kind of runway that lets them pursue that.
But even if all he does is give him college money, Derek, here's the reality. This kid, money and privilege buy you a lot.
Money.
So this kid probably has gone to a private high school and schools his whole life. And the reality is, just because of where he went to high school and the private school he went to, he's already got a leg up again above, like, say, someone like Romy, who just went to a regular old public high school. He's already going to be accepted into Ivy League schools and things like that just because of where he went to high school. So, privilege begets privilege begets privilege.
Right.
This kid is not, will already have a leg up over the competition just because they grew up rich.
But
And
also
so-
just being Simon Cowell's son.
Yes.
Like if he wants to go into media,
Yeah.
there will be places that will want him to intern, like big media companies will want him to intern there, just so they can say, this is Simon Cowell's son.
Yeah.
Last year, in 2025, Marlene Dietrich's daughter, Maria Riva, died. And she said that when she was a kid, she thought her full name was Maria, daughter of Marlene Dietrich.
Because
Because
how
that
everyone
was-
introduced her.
That was how she was introduced everywhere as a
Right.
kid.
Right.
That's
Makes
just
sense.
what her identity was. And so I would imagine that it would be the same thing for him. Oh, this is so-and-so Cowell. He's Simon Cowell's son.
You think that's how Romy feels? This is Romy Patterson, daughter of Romaine Patterson.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean, she's more likely to run into people who have encountered the Laramie Project or whatever, because it's so produced in high schools and colleges, right?
Yeah.
So statistically speaking, when she's interviewing for jobs and she's got Romaine Patterson on her resume, and it's such a unique name,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are going to be all sorts of, like, eventually at a job interview, someone's going to say, oh, I was in a play with Romaine Patterson in it. Any relation?
Probably.
I mean, I just based on the age of the people who will be interviewing her,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know that will mean she'll get a job.
Probably not.
And knowing Pie Pants, she'll probably be like, I don't know her.
My mom is very famous, she'll say. She has her own wiki page.
Although I have to say, when I went to Romy's graduation party, her friends were curious about me.
Oh, yeah, they're
So-
very curious about you.
So obviously, you and I, and in this context, you and your career, really,
Yeah.
and not so much me, but your career is obviously a topic of conversation among Romy's friends.
Oh, yeah, without question. Because I have a very unique job compared to
Right.
her friends and their parents.
But also, it has to be, they must have the same feeling, these kids growing up in northern New Jersey, that I had growing up in the suburbs of Los Angeles, that the media world, movies and television and music and radio and like all of that arts, the big arts and entertainment stuff, is simultaneously insanely close, but couldn't possibly be further away. In the sense of, if that's your dream,
Right.
it seems as far away as living on the moon. Like, it does not feel close, even though it is physically extremely close.
Right.
And my guess is that it's interesting to them because, they know how much media originates out of New York City, but there aren't a lot of sort of media-ish people around in your area.
Right.
So if they're at all interested in that kind of stuff, it's like, oh my God, this is surprisingly close for something that feels very far away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's probably very similar for them,
Probably. You're probably right.
especially if they at all have, hoop dreams in this area.
Who knows what they have these days?
You know how young people are.
I do.
Oh,
They're
I'll just
weird.
become an Instagram model and I'll make $500,000 a year.
And that's what they think.
Yes.
It's like, oh, girl, that's not how any of this works. Not how any of this works. Oh, yeah.
The real problem is it does work for a handful of people.
Yeah. But then everyone thinks it will work for them. And that's not.
Obviously,
how
it can't.
Right.
It's just like any pyramid scheme. Like, that's really what it is. Social media fame is a pyramid scheme. The fact that there are some people who've gotten rich from doing it does not mean everyone who does it is going to get rich.
Which is just not fair.
It's not fair, but that's how it is. Hey, look, it's the same thing in the podcast space. These podcast companies that have these various podcasts, they'll have one or two, or maybe sometimes three big hit podcasts. And every other podcast they have, I'm sure, barely makes money or loses money.
Yeah.
So even if you are on a big podcast network, unless you are, Joe Rogan or Smartless or, something like that, honey, you do not have a lot of longevity here. And it's harder and harder to break out in that space. Like we're so lucky that we had a built-in audience that we could launch with. And I honestly, because we had, after our old show got canceled, as we've discussed before, after our old show got canceled, we went and we met with a couple of podcast companies and, said, look, we have all these active advertisers. We have been on the radio for 12 years. We have an audience. We have name ID. We have advertisers. We have all the kind of things that a podcast company would want.
Yeah.
And of course, they all wanted us to do, a half an hour, one day a week. And
There was one company that wanted us to do an 11-minute podcast.
Yeah. And it's like, that won't work with our audience.
No. 11 minutes, people.
Yeah. But also, and then they were like, well, what you should do is launch your own podcast and get a big following. And then once you do, come to us. I was like, well, once we have a big following, we don't need you.
Right.
And been 10 years. We haven't needed them since. But, even with all of that we had, the opportunities there were relatively slim. And as you see now, all the big podcasters are basically movie stars or big TV stars.
Right.
I mean, even Joe Rogan started out on television.
Yep.
Getting people to eat worms and what have you.
Yep.
So it's just not a way for people to, move up. And it's the same thing with Instagram or whatever else. Yes, if you're insanely hot, you can get a lot of followers. And if you have enough of a niche, you might be able to turn that into something, especially like these beauty influencers.
Right.
If you're pretty and you have a fun personality and you're good with makeup, you probably could make a living as a beauty influencer or whatever. You don't even need to be that pretty. You could just be, relatable.
Sure.
And, but it's just not, these kids, they think everybody came from nowhere. It's like, not really. Most of the time, not really. Sometimes.
Yeah. These kids don't know shit.
But then you look at people like, Justin Bieber, who started on YouTube.
True.
There are plenty of independent music artists who started out in social media and then were able to develop hit careers out of that. But a big part of that is, one, how old they were when it happened, because Bieber was, 14 and very talented. And, so his audience was rabid because they were his age. And, the music industry loves to find the new person. And if they're 15, Taylor Swift, they really are like getting somebody brand new. Nobody else has gotten them.
Right.
They haven't been out there. But also they have a much longer career. If you want to be a pop star, if your breakout hit happens when you're 40, how much pop star do you have in you?
Not a lot. You have to gotta start young.
But if you start at 15,
right,
you can have a really long run.
Sure can. Look at Taylor Swift.
And Cher.
Sure. Yeah.
Cher was a little teen poplet when she started. She was 15, 16 when she got started. And you see how long her career, especially in like the music business, how long her career was. Much longer than a lot of her contemporaries.
Right.
Like people who started in the 60s, Cher was very actively still having pop hits into the 80s. And then, the 90s. And most of the other artists from the 60s, their careers were dead by the 70s, like the end of the 70s. But she started so young. Oh,
and
Cher.
has lasted so long. Good for Cher.
I know. But I feel bad for Romy Pie Pants' little friends and their dreams of stardom because it just seems very unlikely.
It sure does. But, hey, let them chase some dreams.
That's right. You never know.
You really don't.
Chase dreams from the other two. But speaking of stars who started young, talk to us about Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift. So, remember when Taylor Swift went on her Eras tour a while back? And she was all over the world, and she did all these crazy things. Well, one of the big things they do at a Taylor Swift concert, Derek, is these stupid friendship bracelets, right? Where they make them with like little beads and then they put little messages on them. Travis Kelce had put one with his phone number on it that he wanted to give to Taylor Swift at the concert, and then he didn't get to, and then he was all butthurt, and that's kind of how their whole relationship got started. Well, evidently when Taylor Swift went to New Orleans for her tour, someone there at the Caesars Superdome had created this gargantuan friendship bracelet that they put on the outside of the dome. It's 140 feet long, Derek.
Seems long.
It's fucking huge. And it basically says Taylor Swift on it. And it looks like one of these cheesy ass friendship bracelets. Well, they decided after the tour was over that they were going to sell the friendship bracelet. Like they were going to do like an auction or whatever, and they were going to sell it. So they put it up for sale, and somebody bought this giant installation for $13,000. The buyer that was named is Firefly Entertainment, Inc. And why should that matter? Because that company is owned by none other than Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift bought her own gigantic friendship bracelet. Now, I don't know what she plans on doing with this giant 140-foot friendship bracelet. Where she plans, I'm assuming she's going to have to store it somewhere. It's gargantuan. Or why she bought. I don't even know why she bought, but she paid $13,000 for it. So evidently it was created by an artist by the name of Abby Jones. And evidently, Abby Jones got permission from Taylor Swift's team before. It was the artwork was designed by Abby Jones, but it was created by another artist by the name of Sean Coldoni. Yeah. So lots of people went into having it made, and Taylor Swift bought it. What the fuck is she doing with this damn thing?
Let me tell you something.
Is she going to create a museum?
She has to think that at some point she may have a museum or a bar restaurant themed around herself and her career. This has been a popular thing, especially among country stars.
That's true.
And
especially in Nashville.
Yeah, but also for figures of pop culture, people like the memorabilia and the history or whatever. Like, it's a good snapshot in time. And she might feel like this friendship bracelet thing is a bit of a snapshot in time.
Yeah, but it's huge.
Yeah, well, that's also part of the, did you ever see the movie Vacation? And we took a detour to see the world's largest ball of mud. It's, America, we love this kind of thing. Oversized props, Reagan used to use them all the time. I'm cutting taxes, and he would show up with a giant pair of scissors. Well, America loves oversized props.
Well, that is true. Even I love an oversized prop.
And, I think, going to some kind of Taylor Swift experience where you could be enveloped in the world's largest friendship bracelet is a good virtue signal from Taylor Swift about the vibe she's trying to give you. Like, think about if they had like a, you didn't go to Disneyland before they closed it down, but they used to have this 360 Circle-Rama theater. Right. In Tomorrowland. That became the oh crap. The Zork shoot 'em up thing. Yeah. With the little aliens, the claw, aliens from Toy Story. Yeah. And that used to be the Circle Theater, whatever it was called. The 360 thing. It made people nauseous. Oh. They had little, it was a standing room, and they had little railings. And they basically would do, soaring. Remember, the ride Soaring?
Yeah, I hate that ride.
Right? Where you're soaring around. But it basically was like that. They had, a soaring video, but it was 360-degree panorama. So while you were there, you were swooping over things. And even though you weren't physically moving, the view was that you were moving, and it made people, lose their balance. Anyway. So she might be thinking of maybe a room that is a 360 Taylor Swift experience or something where they can have the friendship bracelet ring the room. Welcome, you're in the circle of friendship here with my world's largest friendship bracelet. The Taylor Swift fans will be all over that shit.
That sounds gross. I'm now grossed out by that.
There was a whole thing of Travis Kelce, going with a bunch of investors to look at buying Six Flags. Yeah. You could see a leveraging Taylor Swift as a brand to some of these Six Flags locations, the way that Dolly Parton has been leveraged with Dollywood. Mm-hmm. Because Dollywood was a local theme park. Silver Dollar City, I think. Right? And then they rebranded it as Dollywood to turn it into more of a national attraction. And my guess is Taylor Swift has looked at Dolly Parton's career and said, let's see what all the things that Dolly did right. And let's do some of those. I mean, I think I think that she's looked at a lot of different careers, because I also think her stadium tours and everything have a lot of Garth Brooks DNA in them. Mm-hmm. The whole idea of country being a stadium act. Right. Which he really invented. And so you could see Taylor Swift of the real pop crossover is being a country artist who's a stadium artist. That's a true country pop crossover. Yeah. And that's a big feat, by the way. Yeah. And this brand extension for Dolly Parton has worked out great for her.
Oh, yeah.
And part of it is where she is. It's her former, where she grew up. So it's easy for her to employ old friends and family and help boost the area in a positive way. But Taylor Swift might also be thinking, look, I'm a national brand. I have this fan base. Why not leverage this into something? Kenny Rogers Roasters, that food chain went for a long time. Right. So it's not crazy to think that Taylor Swift could launch her version of Planet Hollywood or something. They could do a thing where it could be a Taylor Swift themed experience, and then they license it into these Six Flags parks. So it's not rebranding Six Flags as Taylor World or something. Right. But they could, instead of having the, leaning so much on the old Warner Brothers animated characters, right? They could have another draw. Because I would imagine that Travis Kelce and his football friends are going to bring in the men. And
they're going to want someone to bring in the girls.
And Taylor Swift can bring in the ladies.
Right.
But I mean, even if it's just like a theater, like an entertainment theater, restaurant, walk-through museum kind of a thing that they put into these parks,
Right.
to redevelop like that part of it, a little mini Nashville, like a Nashville row that is sort of themed around Taylor Swift and whatever else, and put it in the park. That's money in the bank for her songs playing in the background the whole time. I can't even imagine how much money Dolly makes from just the incidental music at the park.
I don't even know.
Because not only do they play they play other songs. It's not just Dolly music, but she wrote a bunch of incidental music and everything too.
Right.
Just for like walking around music, because she's not going to leave that money on the table.
Oh, hell no. Why would she?
No. So Dolly writes some incidental walking around music that sort of plays in the background, gives you a country vibe. And she's fucking making bank all day long on that music licensing. Like Taylor Swift might be thinking the same thing with Six Flags. Like, oh, I could put my music in Six Flags.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine how rich the Sherman Brothers are over It's a Small World. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't either, but I bet it's a lot.
So I think there's so I'm not surprised that she bought this friendship bracelet, because I do think that there's a real opportunity for either down the road there's some kind of museum about her if she wanted to do that, or it's
like, I understand buying, like, keeping certain things, right, or wanting to own certain things that relate to your career. Like, for instance, every costume from your Eras tour, you're going to want to preserve all the. She always travels with all these special microphones that she has made. It's like a whole thing, like preserving the microphones and things. Like, I can see preserving certain key elemental things, because that's the kind of stuff that you would want to have, in a museum or something like that. I just think 140-foot long friendship bracelet that adorned the side of a stadium seems a bit much. But what do I know?
Also, sometimes people are collectors.
Yeah, that's true.
And, Reese Witherspoon had it written into her contract pretty early in her career that she would get to keep the clothes from various things.
Right.
So I saw her on Graham Norton, where she talked about how she got to keep all of the clothes and shoes from Legally Blonde.
Oh, wow.
And she had like 300 pairs of Jimmy Choos or something insane.
That's insane.
Yeah, she got an insane number of like very high-end shoes.
Right.
Like more than you could ever wear in a lifetime. But this was one of the things, and a lot of stars will put these kind of perks in. Sarah Jessica Parker, when she started with Sex and the City, or perhaps later on the series, but she, as long as it's not something that is on loan specifically from a designer,
right,
that they can't get back, she's kept every outfit. And so when they did And Just Like That series, she just went to her environmentally controlled storage unit.
Yeah.
For shoes and clothes to put in the closet on the set as props.
Yep.
Because she had all of it.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But a lot of celebrities have these kind of big storage closets full of stuff like this.
Yeah. But again, it's because of people like, Debbie Reynolds. When the studio system was falling apart, Debbie Reynolds rescued tons of Hollywood memorabilia, especially costumes.
Right.
That were just being auctioned off or thrown away.
Which is crazy.
And I think a lot of stars have realized, like, if you don't save this stuff yourself, no one's saving it.
Right. Yeah.
Or it'll be like, Fonzie's jacket, and somebody else is going to make $150,000 off of it when it sells. Oof. Or the ruby slippers.
Right.
Because you make a movie, you don't know.
You don't know what people are going to remember.
What's going to be Fonzie's
thing.
jacket or ruby slippers or any of those things.
Right. It's true.
So she probably is a bit of a collector from that standpoint, because why not?
Well, and nowadays, like I remember when Battlestar Galactica wrapped up, We love that show. And nowadays they do these things where they will auction off props and things from costumes and things from the show. And it is a big business. Like they make thousands and thousands of dollars auctioning off old props and stuff for people who are hardcore fans. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. But you're right. I guess it makes more sense to own all that stuff yourself than, to let it go elsewhere. And then someone else.
Old props to my peeps.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or props to my old peeps. We've been around a long time.
No, I know. Yeah, let's think about this, Derek. If there were props from our show that we think that listeners would want, what would they be?
Well, the original Who Whipped Me CD from Baby Bash.
Absolutely. I love that.
Probably things like the lamps from the old studio that... Remember when we sort of decorated the studio and really ultimately we just got like the weird chair, the anti-gravity chair.
I did love that anti-gravity chair that was in the corner.
Yeah. So the anti-gravity chair, the lamp, I think there used to be 2 lamps and then one of them broke.
Those aren't really things from the show specific. I think like the 14-inch thruster. Remember that?
Yes.
Or like the paddle that we used to spank Bobby the Intern 2 with.
Yes.
I mean, I think those are the kind of things. Or even like, remember way back in the day when we used to throw those frogs at each other all the time? Or the Nerf guns that we used to shoot each other with? Those are the things I think people would want. But I honestly have no idea. I wonder what people would want.
Well, I mean, some stuff we have just given away over time. Yeah. And other things, I mean, I don't know where they are. But, I saved, before the company rebranded, I have all of my old, like
serious
all of the
stuff.
Old logo stuff from that.
Yeah.
But, the same thing happened when I was at AOL. I saved a bunch of like AOL start discs and things like that. And part of it, just like with the radio show, is it's here and it's gone because I already saw this with the internet.
Right.
Like if you don't screenshot pages on the web, they just disappear.
Well, that's true.
No one's saving them. There's no way they don't get saved the way an old building can get saved. Like they just go away. Mm-hmm. And often without warning. And, but also if you want something to remember an era by, really all people have to remember AOL by is the AOL, you've got mail.
Right.
Or the dial-up sound. Like that's really it.
Yeah.
And so there isn't like a lot of physical memorabilia. But, I still got Mongo, the big old dog.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
You'll always have. I don't ever see you getting rid of that.
I don't know.
I mean, even though you're downsizing in like the space you live in, or you have been, I mean, that's a big-ass dog to keep.
There's still room for that dog.
All right. You put him on the other side of your bed so that you feel like you're never sleeping alone?
No, girl. He's in the guest room where he belongs.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense, I guess. Ay, ay, ay.
All right. Well, speaking of things that make sense or don't make sense, you may recall that in the last season of Hacks, there was a lot of aggressive lesbian shipping going on.
Yes.
Between Deborah and Ava. People really want them to get together.
I don't understand that at all. But
and the lesbians have really gotten into these like 40-year age gaps.
Mm-hmm. I'm not shipping those two characters together, just for the record. I don't want to see that.
Well, I mean, as we said before, Jean Smart is a gorgeous woman.
She is.
And if she wants to have sex with somebody who is 40 years younger than she is, God bless her.
Oh, I agree.
But it is this curious thing, and maybe it's, Sarah Paulson opened this door with her real life relationship with Holland Taylor. But the lesbians have really gotten into this idea of maybe the solution to all of my problems is dating a woman who is 20 to 40 years older than I am.
So are you saying that's what I should do?
Remember when there was that wealthy lesbian who was like, let me take you away from all of this?
Yes, I wish
And
I
you were
had
like,
listened
this is
then.
tempting.
Yeah.
Now that you've had the 2025 that you've had, rethinking your drink?
Always.
Yeah.
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
Well, the hot lesbian ship for 2026
Okay.
is Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway from The Devil Wears Prada.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
The
First
lesbians,
of all, nothing about those two women even says lesbian.
they want those two to end up together.
No.
I agree. It's a
Here's
weird
the thing.
ship.
I have no problem with age gap ships or whatever in general. As long as the two people involved in the ship are actually have the sexual orientation that orients with one another. Like, if you're two straight ladies, that doesn't make any sense to ship them, people. That's silly.
Well, both of them had failed heterosexual relationships.
Blah, blah,
Maybe
blah.
this is their chance.
No. That's dumb. Sorry. I just have to call it the way I sees it. That's stupid. Stupid.
I just basically think, well, first of all, Cher
Whoa.
has been dating this guy who's 40 years younger than she
Which
is.
I think
for
is
like 3
lovely.
years.
Good for her.
I agree. Like, good for Cher. And, Cher's philosophy, she doesn't want to do anything she doesn't want to do.
Right.
And, because, she says all the time, like, I get offered things all the time, but if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And, I respect that. Like, she doesn't need to do anything she doesn't want to do, so she's not going to.
Right.
And she also has a thing about, like, her fans expect a certain level of quality out of her, and if she feels like she can't give them the quality experience that they're expecting, then she doesn't want to do it.
And I
even if it's
agree
something
with
she's
that.
passionate about. I agree.
Yeah.
We like to do a quality product around here sometimes.
On occasion.
Once in a while.
Sometimes.
But anyway, you know what? Good for people. And Cher's been pretty cutting edge as a woman in entertainment for a long time. So she really is the one who's opened the door for older women, younger men.
I mean, I think Madonna's been doing it too.
Yeah, but but Cher started first.
Yeah.
Madonna was a little poplet and with her underwear on the outside of her clothes when Cher was dating that bagel boy.
I mean, that might be true.
And he was like 20 years younger than she was.
Good for her.
And everyone was like, escandalo. And now they're like, meh.
Exactly.
But I find the thing with the internet, with the where they can't allow female friendship to not tip into lesbian vibes. Sometimes two women can be friends and empower each other without needing to eat each other's boxes.
But by the way, lesbians also have this problem. Like, lesbians really struggle being friends with another woman without it tipping into something more. Like, it's quite remarkable to me, actually, how that happens. Because, like, I have female friends that are just my friends, and I don't ever see it tipping into some romantic thing, ever. I could just have, like, a female friend. But that is not true for all lesbians. There are some lesbians who, if they have a close female friend, it starts to get blurry in their minds. That line of friendship versus something more. Because then they start being like, am I in love with her? Is she my soulmate? Are we meant to be together forever? It's like, girl, calm down. How about you just have a friend?
But sometimes, especially, as relationships go on,
Yeah.
being in a relationship with somebody that is good company is kind of important.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, all the time, people get into a relationship with somebody because they make them laugh. You know what? Life should be filled with joy.
It should. It should. I want my life to be filled with joy, Derek.
But this is where I think that Miranda Priestley and other Emily should not be a couple. They don't spark joy with each other. They don't make each other laugh.
Yeah, probably not.
I think this is just a case of Meryl looks banging hot
Yeah.
as this stern older woman.
Yeah.
And some of these lesbians are like, got a school marm thing going. Where they're like, ooh, that nun wants to hit me with a ruler. Okay, ma'am.
Oh, let me bend over and lift my skirt.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of this is.
I mean,
she's strict and sexy.
maybe.
So lesbians are like, how about some?
Oh, Lord. Lesbians are crazy.
Well, gay guys are too. But we don't have time to get into that because today's show is over.
It's true.
But don't worry. In a future episode, we'll talk about how crazy gay guys are. There's no reason to pile on lesbians.
I kind of like it. Bye, Derek.
I don't mind either.
Can't get enough of the show? Follow them on Twitter at DNR Show or like them on Facebook.
And don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe to DNR 2.0 at DerekandRomaine.com.